Welcome to ClickMyProject.com. Now we are going to see about verifying properties of MapReduce based big data processing. Now we are going to see about abstract. Nowadays we all are surrounded by big data. The term big data itself indicates huge volume, high velocity, variety and veracity. For example, uncertainty of data which gave rise to new difficulties and challenges. Big data generated may be structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. For existing database and system, lot of difficulties are there to process, analyze and store and manage such as big data. MapReduce is a simple programming model for enabling distributed computations, including data processing on very large input datasets in a highly scalable and fault-tolerant way. An infectious disease is an important problem in various countries, such as no number of patients affected, lower affected, higher affected directions. In our process, the system is developed to large amount of data into compressed small amount of data by using the MapReduce concept. We split the infectious disease dataset as input data splitting set for compressing data, and we mapping the 4 split dataset for disease and cases by total, and we shuffle the mapped dataset based similar data of data disease. Finally, we can reduce the shuffled dataset and count the number of cases affected by that particular disease. The system is to map and reduce the big data processing. Now we are going to see about flow diagram. Here there are 6 modules uh, in this project. The first one is data selection and pre-processing, splitting and mapping, shuffling, reducing. Mapping, shuffling and reducing, these are Hadoop based map and reduce concept. Now data selection. The input data was collected the data set from the internet for the website called kaggle.com. In this work called having diseases data set, in the data set having 1000 data values. Next, data pre-processing. Data pre-processing is the process of removing the unwanted data from the data set. Pre-processing data transformation operations are used to transform the data set into a structure suitable for MapReduce. This step also includes cleaning the dataset by removing irrelevant or corrupted data that can affect the reducing of the dataset, which makes it more efficient. Missing data removal. Missing data removal in this process, the null values such as missing values and non values are replaced by 0. Missing and duplicate values were removed and data was cleaned out by any abnormalities. Next, data splitting. During the MapReduce process, data are needed so that learning can take place. In addition to the data required for mapping, reducing data are needed to evaluate the performance of the algorithm. But here we have mapping and reducing data sets separately. In our process, we have to divide four data set. Data splitting is the act of partitioning available data into 4 portions, usually for cross validator purposes. Next, we have using Hadoop based MapReduce technique. First, mapping. In this mapping, data in each split is passed to a mapping function to produce output values. In our example, a job of mapping phase is to count of number of occurrences of each word, like each word is diseases from input splits. More details about input split is given below, and prepare a list in the form of word and frequency. Next, shuffling. This phase consumes the output of mapping phase. Its task to consolidate the irrelevant records from mapping phase output. The same words are clubbed together along with their respective frequency. Next, reducing. The output values from the shuffling phase are aggregated. This phase combines values from shuffling phase and returns a single output value. In short, the phase summarizes the complete dataset. This phase aggregates the values from shuffling phase. For example, calculates total occurrences of each diseases. Now we are going to see about the project output, verifying properties of MapReduce based big data processing. Here now we going to the modules. First I click the go to button, next the load file. Now we choose a disease data set. Oh, now load the data set. The large amount of data set, so loading is very. Now I saved this data set to databases. Now data stored successfully. The next process is view the data from database. These are all our from the database. Now pre-processing step. The unwanted pre-processing is the process of removing the unwanted data from the data set. Pre-processing data transformation operations or database structured suitable for MapReduce process. Now the data set was pre-processed successfully, and the next step is data splitting. Here we are going to split the data set for data splitting. Now you click the data splitting button for split the data set. Here we using this data splitting. We have to divide as 4 data set. The data was successfully splitted. The act of partitioning available in the data set for cross-validated process. The next process is mapping process. The splitted data set is passed to the mapping function to produce the output values. For example, a job of mapping phase is to count of the number of occurrences that is disease. The splitted data is successfully mapped, and the diseases, the number of cases occurred in this particular diseases from this 4 data set. The next is shuffle data set. This phase consumes the output of the mapping phase. The same diseases are clubbed together along with their respective frequency. The map data is successfully suffered, and the particular diseases have 4 mapping splitted data, and these are cases. Reduce the data set. The output values from the shuffling phase are aggregated. For example, calculates the total number of diseases occurrences. The data is reduced successfully, and the diseases and particular cases based on this disease.